Folks, we have a new federal holiday, Juneteenth, National Independence Day. The Senate unanimously passed the bill on Tuesday and the House passed it today. The president is expected to sign it into law soon. That means June 19th will receive all the same federal recognitions as other federal holidays, just like 4th of July and Labor Day. So what is Juneteenth? Well, I did a video about it last year, but here's the recap. Juneteenth is the symbolic celebration of the liberation of slaves in the United States. On June 19, 1865, Union troops arrived in Galveston, Texas to tell the last known Confederate sympathizers that they had lost the war and all the slaves must be freed. I know 1865 was almost 2.5 years after President Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation and it took effect. Scholars disagree on exactly what took so long. However, they say it could be anything from stubborn slave owners all the way down to the fact that slaves weren't legally allowed to read. Most U.S. states recognize Juneteenth as a holiday, but now it will become a federal one. Ironically enough, the very last state to know about the emancipation of slaves, Texas, was the very first to approve Juneteenth as a state holiday in 1980. In fact, Republican Senator John Cornyn and Democrat Representative Sheila Jackson Lee, both from Texas, are co-sponsors of the Juneteenth bill. Folks,
Yeah, great. I was actually going to talk about this anyway, so this is actually a great jump off. That was very informative. So, yes, Juneteenth is becoming a federal holiday, or it has become. I don't, who knows how laws work. Am I right? Anyway, and I wanted to talk about it because it's very bizarre to me. There's a lot of conservatives who are screaming out on social media, like Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens, and they're like, "Oh, we don't need Juneteenth. We don't need this. It's racist." I don't know how the fuck it's racist to acknowledge. You'd think that we'd want to take pride in the day where we freed the slaves. And I say freed because, it took quite a bit. 1965 was when black people were legally actual people on paper, though we know that it didn't really work out like that, seeing as how we do still have lingering impacts or effects of systemic racism, which is a very complicated issue. I'm not going to get into that right now. I think it's a good thing. I think Juneteenth is a great holiday for us to recognize because it recognizes a good and a bad thing in America. A good thing of getting rid of slavery and a bad thing of owning slaves. And we have too many holidays in the United States that celebrate the good, but we don't have enough that takes accountability for the bad. And it was a really bad thing that we did as a society, having slaves in the first place. And it's weird to me that conservatives are like, I just don't understand why some people are so fucking resistant to it. It doesn't really make any sense to me. They're turning it into like a race issue. Not everything that has to do with black people is race baiting. I think it's a good thing to acknowledge this. However, I have an issue with this. I'm going to tell you what the issue is with Juneteenth. The issue with Juneteenth, and this is, you have to really understand this, is that the way that federal holidays work is not everybody gets PTO for it. There's no federal law that forces people to get PTO. It depends on the company policy. States may have their own individual, legislation on it, but it's not a required holiday. And whether you want to hear this or not, the reality is that due to systemic racism and the lack of opportunity that black people have given generationally, not just in one generation, we're talking about historically, black people are disproportionately a higher rate, or rather, they are disproportionately more qualified for low-skilled labor, right? That doesn't mean that there's not smart black people, because there are, but due to the fact that there are a lot of pockets in the United States, segregated pockets of black people who don't have good access to good education and whatnot, there's black people disproportionately are a higher amount of low-skilled labor. What does that mean? Well, that means in companies, usually you don't give PTO to the people that are low-skilled labor, but you do give PTO to managers, which are disproportionately a higher amount of white people, which means that white people, proportionately, are getting off for Juneteenth more than black people. And that blows the shit out of my asshole. That makes no fucking sense to me. Why the fuck are you giving more white people off and paid holidays for a holiday that's supposed to celebrate black freedom? It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. To me, this feels like another instance of white people, or let's not just say white people, because I hate the general prescription. But this seems like another instance of affluent white politicians performing on black issues to seem like they give a fuck. But the holiday's not even going where it needs to go. You know, like black people aren't even allowed off on fucking Juneteenth. Could you imagine? Think about this from like a black person's perspective, who's just like working at like, I don't know, like a low skilled labor job. Like they're working their ass off. Like they're working as like a DSP. You know, they're working like a direct support professional with like people with disabilities. And like there's like, oh hey, Juneteenth's a holiday. Oh, that's really great. As a black person, I identify with being free. Great. And it's like, okay, bye. It's like, okay, so it's Juneteenth. It's like, hey, where's Carrie? Manager Carrie, white manager Carrie. Oh, well, she's off on fucking Juneteenth. Well, why am I here cleaning this guy's asshole? And fucking Carrie's off. Well, it's a federal holiday, and you know managers get that holiday. It just feels very uncomfortable, and I don't like it. You know, it just feels like wrong. It really does genuinely feel wrong. It's a good thing that it's recognized as a federal holiday. It shouldn't not be. It just makes me very uncomfortable that like white people are getting off for this holiday and black people aren't, like generally speaking.
Yesterday, the San Jose Sharks posted this image in celebration of Juneteenth. This is what happens when Juneteenth becomes a federal holiday, but you...
That's a really bad picture, I think. I feel like that is a very bad picture. That's a really bad one. Also, I'm uncomfortable here because, like, you know, I just talked about how I think Juneteenth is overall a good thing, but I did talk about like part of the problems with it was like from a corporate perspective. Now we have like or rather from like a working perspective, and now we have like the corporate perspective. I'm just looking at this, and like this is super insensitive to me. You have black people being freed by a fucking shark. Like I don't. Like, did you guys do it yourselves? Why do you need to insert yourself into like that's what this says to me. This is like, hey guys, we're the San Jose Sharks. A shark freed black people. We freed black people. That's like the subtext I'm getting here. And then this really bothers me a lot. The yellow fist. That has to be the most racist fucking part of it, right? Because we know people have different skin colors, right? Ranging. I mean, we're all brown, some shade of brown, but you know, darker brown to lighter brown. But then it's like up, and then there's Asians, and it's like, wow, that is because that's the only thing I would assume. Like, why the fuck else would you put that emoji in there unless you're like referring to Asian people in like a racist way, right? I know that there's a yellow emoji, but that emoji doesn't represent Asian people. That emoji just represents like the yellow so that it doesn't represent anybody. And it feels weird to insert the yellow like non-representative color in there when we're talking about real people. So I get the feeling that it refers specifically to Asian people. Maybe I'm wrong, but like that's the tone that gets off. And like I think they should have been more sensitive to it. They should have been a little more intelligent. This was very unnecessary.
Ban critical race theory teaching in schools. You got a shark breaking every chain of slavery. You're going to have them kids thinking that a San Jose shark freed the slaves. Oh, it's coming. And not only that, next up is the commodification of Juneteenth. Old Navy having a sale. Buy 2 shirts, get 1 for free. Dumb. You're going to run away to these sales all the way to the north. Hey, we're Starbucks. And what do the slaves have after Juneteenth? A latte, more time on their hands. Get a free caramel macchiato when you say Juneteenth at your register window. Hey, we're McDonald's. Did you say freedom? Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. We're loving it. Get 2 free cheeseburgers on Juneteenth. Hey, we're Applebee's. Did you say Juneteenth? How about you get 40 acres and a Moscow mule starting at 9 on Juneteenth? Freedom. Hey.
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it at all. Oh my God. It's true. It's true though. You're gonna have like a Burger King sale. It's gonna be, hey guys, buy 2 burgers, get 1 3/5 the price. Hey everyone, if you liked that video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to follow my Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, Discord, and TikTok. All links are in the description. Also, check out my Patreon if you'd like to support me even more than you already do. Thank you so much, everyone. I love you all.